incorporate it into my presentations. With that said, I'd like to turn it over to our, um, I guess, our general evaluator to introduce pushback so that we can have our first speech.
So now we'll be moving forward with the speeches. Before I invite Tanish to give his icebreaker, I would like to invite his evaluator, Professor Pushpa. Over to you.
Thank you, Headmaster Shantanu, our General Evaluator. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing from our new Toastmaster in this club, Tanisk Vadmani. I hope I pronounced the last name right. As he embarks on the journey of his third pathway, innovative planning. His project today is Icebreaker, a speech designed to introduce his goals, ideas, and aspirations for this path. Tanisk's speech is titled Building the Future, where you will be talking about his thoughts and his favorite futuristic technologies and why it resonates with him specifically. Given his creativity and passion, I'm sure we are in for an insightful and inspiring talk. So let me invite Tanisk for the speech. Tanisk, building the future, Tanisk.
All right. Thank you so much, Pushpak. Before I start my speech, can I know who the timer is?
Sid.
Okay, cool. I'll keep checking your screen for my timing. And before you start, let me just share my screen and just let me set things up. Okay, can you see my screen? And am I
Yes.
audible? Okay, you may start the timing. All right. Hey everyone, my name is Tanish Wadhwani. I am a new member of this club, and today I'll be delivering my icebreaker of a new path, and which is titled Building the Future. So this is my third path. I have completed dynamic leadership before, and I'm also pursuing strategic relationships. But for this club, I thought innovative planning makes a lot of sense because of the stuff we do. So that is my goal here, to incorporate that path with all the cool things that we do here. So icebreaker is usually in an introduction of a Toastmaster. And there were a lot of ways to introduce myself, but I thought, what better way to introduce myself than tell you about my favorite technology and why that technology is my favorite. So let's get into it. But first, let's understand, how did I exactly arrive at this question? Back when I was in college, I think it was my third year, or whatever you call it in America, I'm not sure, but it was pre-final year, my third year. That's when I started my first company. I was the founder and CEO of an edtech startup. Now that company made revenue, but it was not scalable. So I had to move on. Then um, then I came on to my second startup, and this was not for which I came up with the idea. This was something for which I was recruited as the co-founder and CTO. It was a crypto and AI startup. Now, this startup was scalable. We raised venture capital. I think it was one of the first projects to amalgamate crypto and AI. I mean, all things were good, but the culture was not really a good fit for me. So, after raising, I took my exit, and then I was in that situation where I tried so hard, and we got so far, but in the end, it didn't really matter. So I picked myself up and I started asking myself, what do I want to do next? So I was in a unique position where I understood that I could build a really good culture, and now I understood scale as well, which was not the case with my first startup. So the question now was, what idea is worth working on? This time, I was in no rush. I could go back to conventional career anytime. I mean, an exit like that helps you, right? So, and of course, I made money from both of those startups. So I was chill, like I could take my time and focus on finding the right answer to that question instead of finding an instantaneous answer. So I started my excursion to, what do I want to do? So let's look at the future. I started understanding where the world was going, and I'll split that in two parts, business and technology. First, let's look at the business. When you look at the business side of things, you understand that humans have a lot of needs and they are not going anywhere anytime soon. So it's not the smartest thing to focus on a single need. It's more smart to focus on advertising, right? A space where multiple people can come up and sell multiple things. That is a more stable business, and you can expand towards any good or service anytime you want. So that is why I think that is first on my list. It was very important. That's where I start my business stack. Second was infrastructure. And by that, I mean, it could be AI, it could be blockchain, it could be the general infrastructure that people need to build such systems, such as Facebook and Google. So we're talking about cloud computing, let's say NVIDIA's hardware and whatnot. So second space which interested me was infrastructure. But the most important of them all was payments. Because let's face it, if you couldn't send money or if you couldn't receive money, like would you really go to work if you can't get paid? No, right? So the economy cannot survive without a good payment system. That is why I was specifically interested in payments. And payments were really versatile as well. From payments, you can go to infrastructure, you can expand to advertising, and from there you can expand into whatever business vertical you want, depending on the trend. So it was a very versatile option and something that really interested me. So in payments, of course, there are domestic, there are international. I was particularly interested in international payments because I do believe in the idea that irrespective of where you are born, how you're born, I mean, you should have access to the global economy. And international payments just does that. So that is why it interested me so much. Plus, again, easy to expand from international to domestic as compared to reverse. So that is why my favorite business problem was international payments. Now let's look at things from the technology side. First, I think the most important, like the first theme that I want to talk about are brain-to-brain interfaces. I think that is the future of front end, where you will have something like a VR headset or something, or let's say glasses like this. Your avatar would connect directly to your brain, and all the five of your senses would be actually able to interact in the metaverse. So that is where I think the front end is moving. But at the end of the day, it's still data. You can still convert it to numbers, so you can still use it with AI. You can still store it on databases and whatnot. So this is a really interesting technology, but still my focus was more on AI and blockchain. AI, of course, every technology's dream is to like build an AI which could do everything so that we can just chill in Europe, somewhere in Europe and just let it do all the work so that we can just chill with life. Yeah. So of course AI, but there are a lot of applications in AI that can only be unlocked by blockchains. Now there is something which not of which not I didn't think a lot of you would resonate with, but still the case studies are that of course when you look at ChatGPT, it's really good, but can you really use it with your company's data, sensitive data? No, right? Such problems can be solved by amalgamation of AI and enterprise blockchains. And of course, if you have heard of Apple, they told that, yeah, they are going to launch, like when they were talking about integrating ChatGPT into their system, they talk of having an blockchainish architecture. I mean, sure, so Apple, right? So that is where I feel the world is going in terms of technology, and the layer where AI and enterprise blockchains meet are called smart contracts. Now, what are smart contracts? So essentially, smart contracts make your backend secure, reliable, scalable. What that essentially means is that when you are using a normal backend, you have one server which does the API thing. Let's say you ask it to calculate 1 plus 1, it says 2. But if your server gets hacked, it could send back 1 plus 1 equals to 3. Smart contracts prevent such sort of things from happening. So my favorite technology are AI smart contracts. Smart contracts where we could actually incorporate AI. Now my time is up. So this is what I wanted to, like, this is where I want to end. But of course, there's more to it. And I will cover that in part 2, where I'll talk about how we can solve international payments using AI smart contracts. So thank you so much for listening to me and listening to my story. Please feel free to hit me up if you want to discuss this further. And that's it. Thank you for this opportunity. Back to you, Sir Toastmaster.
Anish, thank you for that wonderful journey of how you went and got into international payments and smart contracts. That's a great story. Sid, would you mind giving us a 1 minute time to provide written feedback via the chat to Tanish? So can we have 1 minute, please?